Hey guys, today we're going to talk about timeouts for toddlers. Now, timeouts for toddlers have been the go-to discipline strategy for years, it seems. But did you know that generally speaking, timeouts are not effective? And I am here to tell you why.
Hey, I'm Melanie, a simple twin mom of 4, here with tips, tricks, and reviews to help you keep parenting and life mostly under control.
Full disclosure on timeouts here. I definitely used timeouts for my older 2 kids. In a fit of rage, I would toss them in their timeout 1 minute per year of age. But as they got older, I started doing the research myself and realized that they are not effective. What I really was doing was shaming them and sending them away from me so that I could clean up their mess. Of course, when I was done with the timeout, I would sit with them and talk to them about why they were in the timeout, but 9 times out of 10, they had absolutely no idea why they were in the timeout, and that is age appropriate. They never had the right answers, and the next day they were doing the same thing that put them in the timeout in the first place. So, what I want to start this with, loud and clear, if timeouts were effective, we wouldn't need to use them over and over and over again for the same behaviors. And real talk, there is no one discipline strategy that is going to work every time the same time. If there was, then we wouldn't have toddlers that misbehaved ever. So my now go-to discipline strategies are looking inside the head of a toddler, I know that sounds terrifying, and working with their age-appropriate behaviors and age-appropriate expectations. I know this sounds like a bunch of hippy-dippy, let your kid do whatever they want, but I'm telling you, once you adopt this strategy, your life will feel a lot less stressful when it comes to your toddler. They're not going to eliminate all unfavorable behaviors, but once you guys start working together and once you start understanding why they do these things, it makes it a lot easier to deal with. Toddlers and kids in general are meant to make mistakes. That is literally how they're built, that is how they learn, and that is how they develop. A toddler or a child is not going to stop and think, I shouldn't color on this wall because mom is going to put me in a timeout, and timeouts are not fun. Their brains do not work that way. They're coloring on the wall because they're bored, because they want to color, and honestly because no one has ever stopped and told them, hey, don't color on the wall. It's a rule that we have in this house. They just can't control their impulses. It's just a fact. Toddlers and kids want to make us happy. So, as parents, it is our job to tell them what they should be doing instead of what not to do. So why are timeouts for toddlers ineffective? You're essentially pushing your kid away. You're sending them away when they need your help the most. It is our job as parents to teach children how to make the right decisions and why we want them to make those decisions. By putting them on a timeout, you're leaving them to fend for themselves. You're saying you did something wrong, now I want you to go sit down, and I'm not going to give you the tools on how to fix it. I want you to figure it out yourself. You're telling them that you're not willing to help them fix these behaviors. You're also sending the wrong messages about emotions to kids when you put them in a timeout. You're telling them that when they have these heavy emotions like sadness, anger, tantrums, that it's not okay and they're going to be punished for those emotions. You don't want to be punishing your kids for emotions that can lead for really ugly long-term effects. Timeouts are simply just not developmentally appropriate. Telling a kid to go sit down and think about what they've done is a waste of everyone's time. They don't know what they did and they don't know why they did it. So telling them to go think about it is not helping anybody. This is an abstract idea to them and they are just not capable of thinking this way. Most of the time after a timeout, when you ask a kid, why were you in a timeout? Typically, they don't have an answer for you because they don't know. Another reason why timeouts are ineffective is because they just become an ugly power struggle between the caregiver and the child. Children want and need attention. They 100% worship the ground that we walk on. Putting your toddler in timeout is pushing them away, making them feel like what they're doing is bad. You may think that the action of what they're doing is bad, but I promise you they are not doing it to be malicious. In the description of this video is a link to click on to go get your download for 8 alternatives to timeouts. Let's talk about a few of those alternatives for timeouts. What are some alternatives to timeouts? Talking. I know, again, this sounds like a hippy-dippy, blah, blah, blah. Why should I spend the time talking to my toddler, right? Use few words and words that they understand. Another alternative to timeouts is correcting them, like I've been talking about. If they're doing something that you don't want them to do, correct them, show them the right way, and move on. Here's a great example. If your toddler is standing on the couch and you say to him, if you stand on that couch one more time, I'm going to put you in a timeout, that means little to nothing to a toddler. They're gonna forget about it 3 seconds after you say it. Instead, tell them what they can do. Billy, put your feet on the floor. Let's come over here and build some blocks away from the couch. So you're telling them what they can do and you're giving them an alternative. Feet on the floor, come over here and knock down this tower. This is also a great activity alternative because you're taking another activity that is about the same energy level as jumping on the couch. Toddlers love to jump on the couch. Toddlers love to knock over towers. Let them cry. If it's a tantrum that they're throwing, as toddlers do, which unfortunately is developmentally appropriate and should be allowed, make sure they're in a safe space and let them throw their tantrum. When they're done, go to them and talk to them about their feelings. I know, again, you're thinking, oh my God, that is so lame, but trust me, it works. This helps them label their feelings. Younger kids, toddler age, may not be able to completely answer some of these questions about feelings, but again, this helps them label and this helps them learn about their feelings. Try a time in. If they're 3 or older, encourage them to take some time to themselves. In their room, a quiet corner, playroom. Sometimes kids are just overstimulated. There's too much going on. The TV's on, the music is playing, little brothers and sisters are crying, and this is what can bring on those tantrums. So a minute or 2 on their own can really help with calming them down. And don't frame it as a punishment. Frame it as a time in, just some time alone. Hey, do you want to go relax in your room? Are you feeling like it's too loud? Something like that. Prevention. Prevent some of these unfavorable behaviors by giving them more opportunities for large motor play and sensory play. So trampoline or a landing pad, maybe allow them to jump off the couch once in a while when you are there to supervise. Have a calm down box that they can sometimes grab when they go to do their time in. So this will include sensory activities, books that maybe they like to read, music that they like to listen to. I have a bunch of blog posts on that, so I'll put that link in the description as well. Put yourself in their shoes. Let's pretend you're at work and there's this rule at work that you cannot use blue ink on any reports. Nobody told you this rule, they're just assuming that you know it. You have no idea why it would be a rule. So you use a blue pen for a report at work and your boss comes flying in screaming at you, why did you use this blue ink? This is a rule, we are not supposed to be using blue ink on any of our reports. I'm gonna sit you in this boring office and I'm gonna make you stare at a wall for some undetermined amount of time because as a toddler, they don't understand 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. Wouldn't you much rather them come in calmly and say, hey, this is a rule, I guess no one told you about it. We don't use blue ink pens around here. So give me all of the blue ink pens. I'm going to get rid of them. I'm going to replace all of them with black. And then we're going to do this report together with black ink. And then if applicable, they will tell you why they have this rule in place. I can't think of a reason why we would have this rule in place. It was just a completely asinine scenario that I thought of. But as a kid, if you have a rule in place to keep them safe, keep someone else safe, a lot of times explaining to them why you have that rule in place really helps. If you have any other timeout alternatives, please feel free to share them with me. In the description, you are going to find some related blog posts, this blog post, and a link to sign up to get that 8 timeout alternatives printable. Thank you guys for watching, and if you still use timeouts, I challenge you to go a day or 2 without using them. Hop on over to Instagram and let me know how it went.